Well, I think it's important for diasporans to come to Africa because it's the first touch point. They see, the things like the reels and the pictures on Instagram, but you need to come and touch the soil to experience it for yourself. It's one thing to see it, it's another thing to come here and engage with the people and see the things for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, again, going back to the role tourism can play in changing diaspora-Africa relations. At the moment, or for a long period of time, the diaspora in Africa, there's been a big disconnect.
Welcome to the Great Return podcast, where we have conversations focused on wealth creation rooted in African development for and by people of African heritage, both at home and abroad. Today, we are discussing Beyond Detty December, why diasporans must engage in transformational tourism. And to help us with this conversation, we have invited Nadua Dafo from Creative Indigo Africa and also Ajiwe Chinayere from TGR Africa. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. So I'd like us to kick off by looking at why diaspora tourism to the continent is necessary. Why do we think diaspora is important for diasporans to come to Africa?
Well, I think it's important for diasporans to come to Africa because it's the first touch point. They see, the things like the reels and the pictures on Instagram, but you need to come and touch the soil to experience it for yourself. It's one thing to see it. It's another thing to come here and engage with the people and see the things for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, again, going back to the role tourism can play in changing diaspora-Africa relations. At the moment, or for a long period of time, the diaspora in Africa, there's been a big disconnect. And what makes it worse is the perception that has shaped how diasporans feel about Africa has been a perspective that has been given to them from people whom have had agendas to make sure that Africa is perceived in a certain kind of way. So for most of us diasporans, we have never been really given a strong reason to love our Africanness, to actually view Africa as a place that is beautiful, that you want to visit, that you can experience most of the things you've experienced in the West. So tourism is really like the first point, like you was, it's really the first point of engagement where perception can begin to sort of shift and change. And I think that is very important if we want to foster stronger ties between the diaspora and Africa, especially if we consider the kind of impact the diaspora can make on African development.
I
think I wanted to add to that to say that the diaspora, they're bringing things like their skills, their network, but also their curiosity. So staying where you are and being curious and knowing you have all of these skills, it's like it's doing no one any good. So them coming here, it opens the possibility for both sides. So that's why the tourism is so important. With their curiosity and the questions, they can begin to maybe get answers for their own questions of all these, longstanding ideas or, things that they've perceived or thought about Africa. By actually stepping foot in the country and taking that next step, you get your first answers to those questions. And also by posing those questions to the people on the ground, the locals here, that also gets them maybe to start thinking in a different frame of mind, to have, a different mindset as well.
So before we started, we're talking, and you said something about, sort of tourism being like a first date. I really like that whilst we were having conversations before. Because if you, Africans all over the world, we need to start being one. We need to start having a very positive relationship amongst ourselves. And I think we need a first step to doing that. And tourism becomes that first step. And that's why I like the way you said it's like a first
date. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I did mention that when we were talking before about that first date. It just, I'll equate it to scrolling on like a dating app. Like when you're looking at touristic places, like especially, for Ghana, for Accra, Lagos and those other places, you're scrolling just like you would do on a dating app, and you're swiping left, right, I don't know which one it is, but once you actually click on it and say, okay, I'm taking a chance, I'm going to connect with that person, coming here is the first date, and it's the first step.
I like that.
I was going to just add, don't we think it's strange how people who are from Africa have to be seduced to even want to engage with where they're from? I think it really highlights just how broad of a gap and a disconnect there really exists between the diaspora and Africa. And why is that, and who has created that? And why tourism is essential is because it's the beginning of closing that gap.
Absolutely, yeah. The beginning of the relations, starting the relations, the first date. Okay, so in 2019, we had the Year of Return. Ghana sort of organized the Year of Return. What do we think the impact of that Year of Return has been? I mean, since then, we've seen that diasporans coming home, coming to Africa for, holidays and things, it's become more massive now. What are the real impacts that we can see, that we can take from the Year of Return in 2019?
I would say, well, first of all, we can't deny the economic impact. A lot of people came, spent money in our economy, boosted, local businesses. So that cannot be denied, that impact there. Secondly, I would say the emotional impact that was for the diaspora themselves coming back. With the Year of Return, like I said, when they come with their questions and their curiosity. So there was all this time before the Year of Return where people had, these questions or every preconceived notions about what they thought of Africa before. So the Year of Return gave them a structured pathway to come where there's before maybe they were scared or just not interested at all. It was like, okay, we're stretching our hands out to you. We're welcoming you to come back and showing you all of these things about Ghana, about Africa that you didn't know was here. And it kind of like healed some wounds for people. Because I think some of us, what we don't realize, if you are not part of, that group, that historical diaspora, is that there are a lot of wounds for people. There's a lot of open questions that they have no answers to, and they can't go back and ask their grandparents because they also had those same questions. So coming here during the Year of Return was really a chance for them to answer some of those questions, to heal some of those wounds, to make that first connection.
And what I think even made the Year of Return even more impactful is the time period we live in and the fact that we have social media and technology, because people are getting first-hand accounts, being able to experience Africa, through their friends and family who have visited. So it's created a situation where it's actually having more of a multiplier impact, because people are coming, they're taking pictures, they're sharing videos, all those kind of things. But it's their wider diaspora network that seeing all these things. So it's created a situation where even when a few people come, when we go back to perception and the need to change some of the negative stereotypes and prejudices that we've been programmed to see about our own, see about Africa, is it's allowing more people to be able to say, oh, I didn't know that they have nice beaches and hotels and these kinds of things. So I think the fact that it happened at a time period where technology also was, technology with social media and all these kind of things has only amplified it even greater.
Yeah. I wanted to touch also on what you're saying with technology and being able to see our friends and family visit these places, especially with the year of return, was the fact that it brought so many celebrities into Ghana.
Yes.
And people, while we don't know those people, we feel like we know them because we see them in movies. We watch them on TV shows. We've been watching them for years. And we can see the likes of, Steve Harvey, Idris Elba, who's doing a studio here. We see them coming and we're thinking, wow, I've watched this guy for years, like Spike Lee. I've seen all of his movies, and he's going to Ghana and he's talking about how it's important, and he's bringing his family and showing us all of the things. So we see it through the eyes of our friends as we're scrolling on Instagram, but also through the eyes of these celebrities who we've loved for so many years.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely gives like an endorsement, which is very useful.
Yeah. I think that people generally were getting more curious about Africa. But what the year of return did was how big it made it. So in a way, it became like an explosion because it was like an organized thing. And then you have so many people coming and going to so many different places, taking so many pictures, putting stories online, and their families looking and thinking, oh, wow, I would like to go there. I would like to go and see that. Oh, I didn't think you could just have a holiday like that. And when you see people, like you're saying, even with celebrities, though we don't necessarily know them personally, we feel like we know them. But equally, it is our friends and friends' friends and our wider network, people that you sort of have an idea who they are personally. When you see them doing things and putting stories online, you're more likely than not to believe that is real. Yeah. Whereas before, you have all the influencers and the vloggers and bloggers writing things and saying things about Africa. But when you have ordinary people that going and having a good time and staying in these fancy big hotels, nice environments, all those pictures do act as a bigger pool, I think, for more people to think, I want to go and see for myself. I also want to go and enjoy the place. So I think, I believe that it was a good thing what they did in just putting Africa on the map as, hello, here we are, truly, as opposed to the stories that they have in their heads, the misconceptions and all of that. So do we think that the year of return has led to a change of perception of how diasporans now view Africa?
It's definitely led to a change of perception. There's people that I know, friends from the U.S. who never had any intention of visiting Africa. And because of initiatives like the Year of Return, it sparked them to, book the trip, finally, come with their friends and family and visit, and also change their perception of what's possible in Africa. So without the Year of Return, a lot of those people, they never would have come here. They would have stuck to their usual trips of, going to Mexico or Jamaica, maybe go to France or go to Dubai. Everyone's dying to do that. And now Africa, especially Ghana, has become a real focal point of traveling. It's like it's on their bucket list. They've got to do it. They've got to come to Accra. So without the Year of Return, I think that would have been hard to say today.
Yeah. And even I think something that we don't talk about too is how it's impacted not just the historical diaspora, but what's the word? Continental diaspora.
I would say, yeah, I like to use continental diaspora to describe like people. And when I say continental diaspora, I mean like people who, let's say our moms and dads were born in Ghana or born in Africa, or even because we were both born here in Ghana, but we've grown up outside. So if it's not continental, like just let me know and say, type it in like, no, it's not continental. It's whatever for now, we'll say, continental diaspora.
Yeah. Because myself, I pretty much had the same biases and preconceived negative perceptions about Africa. I never really necessarily felt like being African was something that you took pride in, because it wasn't something that was communicated to you. And my introduction to the Year of Return was just, again, like I was saying, seeing things on YouTube and social media. And it sparked my curiosity. I'm like, oh, I didn't know, like, this is what's going on in Ghana. And it began my curiosity to investigate in more. One of the pillars we talk about the Great Return as a philosophy is the idea that there is a diaspora awakening taking place across the world, where we are beginning to reevaluate how we perceive Africa and the relationship we have with Africa vis-a-vis how, the West, and traditionally what we've thought about the West and Africa when it comes to opportunities and all those kind of things. So I can personally say that even though the Year of Return wasn't targeted at me, it definitely began my Great Return journey, because it's how I began to readjust my perception of how I even view a place where I was actually born.
Yeah. I can relate to that, because my return was pretty much that same way. Before, I only viewed Ghana or coming back to Accra in terms of, okay, one day when I retire, I'll go back there, because that's the model I had. My parents, they came back when they retired. I have lots of aunts and uncles who've done the same thing. They were all, building their house here while they were in the West. Yeah. And knowing that, okay, when we finish working, once we've given our best years to the West, then we'll go and retire in Ghana. Once I started seeing different people, younger people who had not reached retirement age, actually coming back, building their families here, coming back with their families, like small kids. Because even me, I was thinking, oh, once my kids graduate college, then maybe I'll be able to come back. But seeing people do it with little children, with babies, coming to start their families here, coming to build a business here, coming to, start a business here, living here, build a house. I was thinking, wow, like if they can do that, what's stopping me? What's stopping me from that? So the Year of Return, it had overextending reach, not just to the historical diaspora, but also to the continental diaspora
as well.
Yeah, I do think that it has changed a lot of perception amongst the diaspora, certainly, because I think a lot of people, probably even say 10 years ago, had a lot of misconceptions about Africa. A lot of diasporans, African Americans, people in the UK, in Europe generally, had some, it's like you're both saying, they wouldn't think, oh, I'm proud of like Africa, where I come from. They wouldn't think of actually building towards coming home to stay, to live. It probably wouldn't cross most minds that this is a place where you can come and make home. But the Year of Return showcased the continent in such a positive way that most people had to challenge some of the viewpoints they had. Even people who haven't visited are probably now planning to visit, are more at ease about making plans to visit. Even some haven't visited, but they are making plans to actually relocate here. There are people that I've spoken to who are planning to relocate. So they are planning towards relocating here, even though they've not visited, all because of what they've seen. It's opened their eyes to the realities on the ground. And yes, you can say maybe they are just seeing the fancy side of things and there are real challenges, which is true. But it is also a place where you can actually make home. You can have a good life here. So it's definitely changed. I believe it's changed perception of diasporans in a very, very positive way. Another phenomenon that we need to discuss when you're talking about the year of return is Detty December, because it looks like, I don't know if it was birthed in the year of return, but somehow we have Detty December, which has continued on past the year of return in 2019. For some of our viewers who haven't heard of it or don't know what it is, and some of our listeners, I want us to briefly say what we see, what we think Detty December is. And I'll start by saying, for me, the most that I know of it is like party. People come and they party through the night, go back to hotels after eating. Some even eat like wache around 6 a.m. in the morning and then go to sleep. So that's the most I have come to the proper Detty December. I'm too old to be doing party. So I'll leave it to the younger ones to tell me more about what do you think in all seriousness? What is Detty December?
So Detty December, for me, I would say it was just like you were saying, the people coming back, the diaspora, and I think it started out with like the continental diaspora who was coming back at Christmas time to, hang out with family, but of course to party, to have a good time, to go to the clubs, to, see old friends and get back in touch with them, hang out, listen to the latest, Afrobeat music. And also for those artists to promote their music. So the ones that were known and also maybe the up and coming ones. So it was a huge time and still is for concerts.
Okay.
For shows in clubs. So basically it was centered around like Ghana and Accra and Lagos. So we're still battling. Just like we have the Jollof battle, we have now the Detty December battle to say, okay, who did it first? But we know who did it best.
Oh, wow. Okay, AG.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I haven't experienced too much of Detty December, but that is my notion and understanding of it.
Yeah.
Is that fundamentally, diasporans are looking at Accra and Lagos the same way we look at Ibiza and Marbella and, Saint-Tropez and, all the kind of party destinations that, like I said, especially young people tend to go to, which is an interesting phenomena because as we've been talking historically, just the negative perception about Africa, people don't even think there are nightclubs, there are really nice hotels and all that kind of thing. So that's also how I've come to understand what Detty December is about.
Yeah. So from what you were saying, it looks like there was Detty December before the actual year of return, but it was maybe more not as huge.
Yeah.
And that was more continent. I'll borrow Nas word.
We're keeping it.
We're keeping it until we're told otherwise. So it was where continental diasporans were coming for holiday, just to come and hang out with friends and family, get to know the new sort of Afrobeat music going on and all of that. And then the year of return happened and probably just amplified that. And maybe it's because now I've heard people saying, oh, December has become too expensive. I'm not coming in December. People are coming in January, even some February. So maybe it was the year of return that sort of lifted Detty December, and now it's this huge thing. Yeah. Flights become like
outrageous.
Yes. Okay. So I want us to discuss whether diasporans should be treating Africa as a tourist destination, as a place to come and have fun, and not really immerse themselves in the challenges and issues that we all know Africa has and is facing daily. We see, especially in terms of development and all that. Is it okay for diasporans to just come here to have fun?
I think it's the first step. It's what gets them in the door, because we all need something that, it seems like when your parents want to give you medicine when you're little, and sometimes, they'll look for like the maybe the bubble gum flavored or the something sweet to
mix
get you
the
into it.
medicine with the sweet.
Yeah, mix the medicine with the sweet so that you'll take it and you'll still get healed, but the parents gave you something to, entice you into it. I think maybe that's what Detty December was doing.
Okay.
Was enticing the diaspora to come to Ghana.
Yeah.
Take a look and see what's around. But once you've finished and done the late night parties, and you were partying till 6 o'clock in the morning and, wiping the sleep out of your eyes, going out to go look for food, and you're standing there at the stall and you see the fruits and vegetables that the seller has, maybe then that starts sparking questions in your head, thinking, okay, well, where do these come from? Exactly. I've just been here seeing the insides of every nightclub. I haven't seen any farms.
Yes.
I don't know where this comes from. It leads to questions like that. So we need that step of the tourism, of having people come here, making it attractive for them at first, and then they'll want to, think about, okay, what do people do here for work? I'm just out here down the street. All these people are, getting on the cha-cha and going to work now. What are they doing?
Yeah.
What are the school kids doing? What else is going on in society besides just the partying?
Yeah.
But the tourism is the first step to all of that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I definitely think both the year return and then following from the Detty December becoming what it has become, I definitely see it as, in general, it has been a positive development. Where I worry about and where I particularly think we need to start considering more seriously is, okay, what happens next? Because in The Great Return, when we wrote the book, we tried to break down the 4 levels of engagement that, in general, diasporans engage with Africa on. So, historically, it's primarily always centered around tourism and remittances, and the two kind of fuse. And I don't think we're aware that long term, if we just stick to these 2 areas, tourism and remittances, actually, in the long term, we're actually having a negative impact on African development, because what's happening is there's a big cash injection coming in, but it also leaves just as quickly. And if we're not careful, tourism will become sort of a drug, like oil has become a drug for Nigeria, where both at the governmental level, even at the local business level, and even all the way at the central banking level, everyone's waiting for that foreign exchange injection. But unfortunately, the foreign exchange that is coming in, because there's no structure to it, there's no strategy to it, it's coming and it's going, and it's actually creating a dependency on remittance and tourism. And long term, what we're actually doing is perpetuating the problem. And that is why I really think we really have to start having conversations beyond sort of Detty December. And another thing that we fail to realize, and why I feel like us diasporans can't treat Africa like a tourist destination, is because we're from here, whether it's historically or whether it's through or continental diasporans, as we're using the term. And, it's a big difference from me going to India or Spain or South America and having fun. Because, yeah, they have cool things to do there. But you don't really expect that I should be at the forefront of solving some of South America's problems. And I don't think a South American will expect that from me. But I am very much from Ghana.
Yeah.
And how can I come here and treat it like it's a tourist destination when it's literally my home? And it's no secret that, you know, the African race, we're not respected globally at all. Like, we're not. And a lot of the time, we always have conversations about the problems, and, you know, we feel like just because we talk about stuff, it means we're doing anything. We're not. But the fact of the matter is, we are the most privileged across the African race as a whole.
Yeah.
So if we are not feeling a sense of responsibility towards Africa, then who is going to feel that sense of responsibility? So I definitely do think that whilst tourism and diaspora tourism to Africa has been great, I really think that we need a different kind of tourism that is practiced amongst the diaspora, because this whole notion of thinking that we can absorb ourselves from the issues that affect Africa, I don't think is does any
been working for
yes. And also it's also more of the fact that I'm not trying to say that people should look at Africa and come here and do charity or whatever. I'm saying that no, we really need to actually realize that we are those people who are supposed to be making an impact because of the natural privilege we have. And if we don't accept that responsibility, who is going to accept that responsibility? So that's why I feel that it's not enough to come here and party and have a good time, that there has to be a kind of tourism that is also making an impact, and making an impact in sustainable ways, because tourism and remittances alone are actually long-term holding back African development. That's just how I feel about
I do agree with both of you. And I think earlier when we were having a chat before, somebody said like 2019, the year of return, and Detty December as a whole, it's like the hook. And so that brings people in. That is what sparks the interest of diasporans wanting to visit home. And once they've then visit home, it is important to now start thinking beyond just the partying. Because just the partying is not going to raise Africa up. So it gives us all the respect that we should have. As AJ is saying, we are not particularly respected around the world. You can argue it this way, that way, but that is a reality. So once you come and party, and it's good to come and party, you now have to start thinking beyond that, because we have to all work together to raise the continent, to raise us. And in doing that, one of the first things that it's important for people to realize is sort of how you do that is through relationship building. And for me, what the year of return and Detty December has been able to do is give us that opportunity to be together and for us to be more together. But we should now understand that just tourism alone, all it is doing is it is lining the pockets, because all these hotels and everything that you come and you're partying and you're spending your money on, it doesn't really go much into the local economy, because a lot of the hotels are owned by foreigners. A lot of the nightclubs and what have yous, businesses, shopping malls, they're all owned by foreigners. If you don't know that, then you need to do a bit more research. So to be able to actually impact Africa with your visit, because you are thinking, oh, it's great, I'm going to spend my money in Africa. But it doesn't quite work like that. Yeah. A lot of stuff is imported. So it's important for you to step beyond the hotel into the streets, into the local community, and look at what is going on to see what you can then do to.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that just reminds me, just this weekend, I went to this restaurant that I like going to, and I was talking to the owner, who is West African, and she was telling me that their restaurant on that strip where they are is one of, I think, two of the only like Black African owned restaurants. Yeah.
Why am I not surprised?
The rest of them. So imagine like you're, on a street that has maybe 10, restaurants and bars.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them are like, when I say like Black African owned, the rest of them are non-Black African owned or foreign.
Yes.
Just not African at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're thinking, like you said, you're thinking you're coming to Ghana and you're spending your money, then obviously it's going to, the Ghanaians, the traditional local Ghanaians, and that's not necessarily the case.
Yes.
So it could be a trap.
Yes.
With tourism.
Exactly.
You have to think about, okay, where am I spending my money? How is it affecting the community?
How am I
It might not necessarily be going to who I think it's going to.
Exactly. And if the point I suppose we're all trying to raise here is the fact that we need to be more intentional, because if we are not careful, tourism then becomes a trap that further holds Africa and Africans down further, because all this money that's being spent keeps going out. So in time, what's happening? Africa and Africans will be still being pushed down, although it's vibrant and you see all of this good stuff that you think is going on. We need to think deeper. We need to be more intentional. So
I just wanted to add one other key thing, which I don't think is talked about enough, or maybe we're not aware of, is there's a lot of selfishness from the diaspora in relation to Africa. I really feel that a lot of us are looking at Africa and sort of just purely thinking what we can get from it. So even those that have come on a year of return, or they've been influenced to come and visit, their kind of experiences they're trying to have is all about me. It's the experience I want, what I need, what connection I'm seeking. And there's a lot of me, and what Africa can do for me.
Yeah.
But I don't hear conversations about what we as diasporans are at an individual level and a collective level asking ourselves, what can I do for Africa?
Yeah.
What value can I offer Africa? I don't really hear that kind of conversation. And that's, again, why I feel it's really important that while these positive developments and trends in tourism is happening, from specifically diaspora tourism, there has to be a different type of tourism. But at the moment, there's too much selfishness on the diasporans aspect. And I think we highlighted earlier before we started how if we're not careful, and if we don't try and form connections with the local population, there's a disconnect that is developing. And we don't realize it, those of us that are more far removed, but the locals are starting to perceive us how we perceive other races,
right?
Living in the West. We don't realize this, but where, you go to New York and there's different areas that are being gentrified, and gentrification is a big issue, and it's always Black communities that are being displaced, and now it's turned into some new modern place. You cross the road next door and like you're in a ghetto, and you cross the road next door and you're in some, and it's all gentrification. And who are the biggest people who complain about it is Black people.
Yeah.
But because of the kind of tourism we're practicing, because it's not connected or meaningful or intentional, someone might come and go, you know what? Yeah, I like Accra's nice. Yeah, I might get myself a property here. So even when we're looking beyond just the tourism, it's still very much, oh, what can I get here? People are thinking, you know what? Actually, I can come and work here remotely, and I'll be saving a lot of money, and I can get to, like, that's the thinking that's going on. It's not even the citizenship thing. It's
you were saying that before about how it's recent, scandal or whatever you want to call it with the citizenship for the historical diasporans, it's still rooted in me,
themselves, and them asking, like, expecting the Ghanaian government to be there at our feet to usher us in. I mean, have you seen the state of the government and even what it's trying to do at the local level? And you're expecting everything to be structured and red carpet rolled out and infrastructure here for you. I mean,
I think that's so loaded though. That's so layered because of I think Lordy was saying before about misunderstandings between different communities.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I think maybe the Ghanaians and the Ghanaian government, there's a lot that they don't understand about the historical diaspora and what they're expecting, quotation marks, or not expecting, but they're proposing these things without a lot of education about what they are expecting. And also on the other end, the historical diaspora, they are expecting, and once again in quotation marks, not everyone, I'll say, some people, not everyone, they are expecting certain things because of maybe what they've been through historically from the Ghanaian government. But like you say, not knowing what's going on here with the Ghanaian government, even for the local people, that they're not getting the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And in general, if we want to look at a mindset of what can I get from Africa versus what I can contribute to Africa, I actually don't think the two are mutually exclusive. But you just don't hear enough conversations talking about, okay, cool, so you really want to be a citizen, but what are you coming to do here?
Yeah.
Are you just basically wanting to retire? Is it because maybe here you get to feel important and where you're from you don't get to feel important? Like, why are you so desperate for citizenship? You see?
So it's exactly as, for me, as Nadu has put it, I think personally that certain things haven't been seriously thought through well enough in a timely manner, so they have time to communicate, explain, and also give people time to prepare. Because a lot of our people come in, it's not because they've got tons of money somewhere where they can easily dish out and pay for this or pay for that. So I can understand the issue of it's too expensive. But at the same time, too, we should also understand that Africa is not rich in money terms. We are rich in resources, but we are not rich in money terms. So before you sort of really go on about what hasn't been done and all the negative things, just get out of where you normally are when you're here and go into the inner cities, go in the villages, and you will understand. The government cannot support most things here. They don't. A lot of the locals, it's everyone for himself. Even medically, somebody can be dying, and until they actually have the money to pay for something, well, they're waiting until they can get money from a relative. So it's just trying to put things in perspective that, you know what, yes, it would be nice to be able to have all these structures in place before we invite people here. But even the people here who have been here for so long, they don't have those things. So where is the money going to come from so they can do those things before? So we are where we are, and it's up to all of us to actually understand one another and where we all are and how we can move forward. So I understand in terms of the citizenship why people want it, but maybe their expectations need to be managed as well. And also in terms of costs and everything, maybe work something out where people have more time to do whatever they need to do to be able to get involved. Let's move on. So now I want us to look and talk about transformational tourism. So both TGR Africa and Creative Indigo Africa, this is something that we've talked about the need for transformational tourism, because what is happening is not enough. Mm-hmm. And to make people more aware and also highlight some of these things to people. So what is your take on transformational tourism? What is it?
First, I want to start by defining what is transformational tourism. Mm-hmm. For those who never heard of it, don't understand. For us at Creative Indigo, we define that as travel that impacts the community, mm-hmm. travel that involves relationships, mm-hmm. so reciprocal relationships, and lastly, impact. Mm-hmm. So with regular tourism, usually you'll, buy your ticket, go to the place, spend your money in the hotel, spend your money at the restaurants.
Yeah.
Maybe do, a tour or two, have a great time, take great pictures that you're going to share, on your Instagram, on your timeline with friends and family. And, maybe you bought a few souvenirs that you can still see on your refrigerator.
Yeah.
That's about where it ends.
Yeah.
But with transformational tourism, you're going a step further. You're doing those things as well, but you're also connecting with the community. You're also maybe going to a local school, and not just for charity reasons, but to learn, okay, what kind of systems do they have in place? What are the teachers doing there? How are they implementing, the things in the Ghanaian educational system to the students? How are the students reacting and reciprocating? What are maybe their test scores, or what other metrics? So for us, the metrics aren't just in your pictures, but it's in the relationships. Mm-hmm. So that means when you've taken that trip that involves the transformational aspect, 6 months later, are you still connecting with some of those people in that community? Mm-hmm. That's what that means for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I really like as well is that it allows there to be objective metrics that can be measured, that of impact, that is not superficial, but it's meaningful. And I think it goes a long way into, again, like we're saying, we're not saying that people shouldn't come and have a good time and do all those kind of things, but we're a special, unique case of a type of tourist. We're not a Frenchman who's coming to Accra mm-hmm. because it's on their bucket list, or they just like travel. We're actually coming back to a place where we've been disconnected from for a while, but we have deep roots and connection to, and actually we, whether we are aware of it or not, Africa is really waiting for what we can do. Because if you look at how Africa is set up, going back to our privilege, the level of impact we can have is so much that we can really have an opportunity to shape Africa. And I liked what you said. It's you're not talking about transformational tourism isn't about coming here and doing charity cases, because again, sometimes that's really about self-aggrandizing. It's about impact that can be seen at a community level and at various tiers, which is something that is very much needed, especially from a responsibility standpoint. If we want to get our citizenships here, if we want, to be welcomed here, and this is another thing we fail to realize is, and we say all the time, Africa is for sale. The Ghanaian government is sat there and it's looking at its deficit and it's asking itself, we need to finance all these things. You guys are not putting any money in. The Chinese are, the Arabs are, South America is. So by default, I have to create policies that attract those that are already giving me money. I think we always fail to realize that that's how the world works, is that especially in a place like Africa, it's very much for sale. And if we diasporans want to have conditions that make it attractive for us, we have to show the government that we are a real asset to them. And the kind of tourism we're engaging in is not something that the government it's not the same level of, because when the Chinese come, we will spend 2 billion a year here. But that 2 billion, we went and spent it in a nightclub, a restaurant, all these kinds of things. And we've already highlighted that that's just capital inflow and outflow. Yeah. Chinese are coming in with, they're coming with investment capital, 2 billion to build a dam.
To build a factory.
Who is the government going to listen to if that consortium says, I really think you need to restructure your work permit because at the moment it's making it difficult? Don't you think the government's going to listen to them? The reason why we struggle to get things from the Ghanaian government because we have no leverage, and we don't realize that leverage comes from you playing and making an impact that is clear and measurable. Because a lot of the things we want only come from us actually showing our value to the country. And at the moment, how we engage with the country, from a governmental standpoint, yes, we benefit from your foreign exchange, but you're not actually doing anything beyond that. So it creates a situation where transformational tourism gives diasporans long-term leverage at the lobbying table.
Yeah.
I mean, when we hosted our masterclass, we were on the questions we were putting towards the GIPC representative was this new looking at the capital requirements to start a business. It's very obvious that when the capital requirements were structured, the Ghanaian government was not thinking about
diasporans, no.
Because actually 500,000 investment capital is pittance from foreign direct investment. So actually, if you were to investigate, you will realize that they set the bar low because they were thinking more FDI, not diaspora-based investment. Because even the local governments haven't really tried to leverage the diaspora properly. It's only now that the conversations are happening. But how do we think we can get that barrier removed?
It's such a missed opportunity, like you're saying. And going back to the whole citizenship thing, one of the requirements, I think, I know they're reconfiguring it right now, but one of the requirements, and I hope they do keep that, is what kind of ties do you have to Ghana to ask for this citizenship? Is it volunteer work that you've done? Is it a business that you started?
Right.
Is it
so that's what the ties aspect means, because I thought it was just purely focusing on like, do you have people here?
No, that was a second. So those were two things. It was one of the things was to have lineage, like Ghanaian lineage, that you've done a DNA test, or something to prove that shows that you've had have Ghanaian lineage, but it also says what other ties do you have?
Oh, I see.
To Ghana.
Right.
So for me, that's how I took it, because I saw those two different things. There were two different lines in there. That to me meant, okay, what are you contributing to Ghana? What have you, in addition to, you've lived here, you've experienced some things for, let's say whatever it was, I think 2 years residency, but what have you done? Like, are you involved in your local church? Like I said, have you started like, a small business? Maybe you've gone on, circling back to the transformational tourism aspect. Maybe you first came here and went on a tour and saw how the local weavers in the north were weaving baskets. Those Bogotanga baskets.
Yeah.
And maybe you started a company, a small local company where you were exporting those baskets to the west, maybe like to New York, to markets that they were selling there, those what do they call, the farmers markets and those pop-up shops. That could be an aspect, and that's something that can start from transformational tourism.
Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly basically the point I was getting at, is we don't realize that everything is about leverage. We have to give the Ghanaian government a strong reason to create conditions that we will find attractive. They're not just going to do that because we're actually in competition with other foreigners who are just as interested in Africa, in Ghana, for whatever reasons they have. It's not so. I think sometimes we don't like to accept how the world works, and we try to get lost in altruism. But the harsh facts is that right now, if the Lebanese wanted conditions to make it favorable, they know they have to lobby, and lobbying means being able to have leverage. We think we can get things based on a moral argument and don't consider the leverage. Do you really think the government will be making conditions difficult if objectively they can see that, 10 billion, 20 billion has been going into these sectors, that sectors? They're not going to, because the point of FDI is you try and attract money where you can't, and you make your conditions favorable to whoever is going to give you the most money.
Yeah.
And if we're not giving the government, I'm not saying giving the government money, but if we're not making ourselves serious players here, then you get what you get, because that's just how the world works. But transformational tourism is how that leverage is built, where we actually are seen as a real special interest group that the government really has to
pay attention
to, beyond just romanticism of the fact that we're from here.
Yeah. So I want to now look at transformational tourism, if it's necessary, as it relates to the role that the diaspora can play in African development. As we've talked, we can see sort of, AG just said, the Chinese are here, the Lebanese are here, so many other parties, interested parties are here. Now, how are we, the diasporans, going to position ourselves when it comes to tourism, in using tourism, transformational tourism specifically?
I want to talk in the general broad sense before I start referring to what we're doing personally. We have to connect, like AG was saying, we have to show the leverage and coming together and doing, taking a trip that's not just going to be surface level interaction with the country, that's going to go a little deeper. Before, when we were talking about Detty December, I'm just it's my little side thing there. I'm thinking, okay, now can we go into deep December? We've done Detty.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
that's
Deep December.
Deep December.
Yeah, that's a cool term.
It is.
Go beyond the surface of just, hanging out at the clubs and the bars. Do something that's going to be a partnership for you and for the community. So it's not always like we're just sitting here asking you to, give to us.
No.
It's like we want you to give, and we also want to give to you.
Yeah.
So you go back and we form this relationship. And like I said, maybe 6 months later, you're still in contact with that school. You're still in contact with that clinic. You're still in contact with that, basket weaver. You form connections.
Yeah.
You started maybe a small business if you're interested into that. Maybe you're helping them fill out forms for grants. Maybe it doesn't have to be, maybe, you're not business minded, but there's other ways that you can help.
Yeah.
Point them into the direction of saying, oh, you know what, I sit on maybe a board in the U.S. of an association or a group that's interested in, supporting a small business. It's not me myself starting a business if I'm not business minded, but I can still have some kind of impact in the local communities. So that way it's a partnership. It's not give and take, it's give and give.
Yeah.
So the diaspora can help in that aspect of coming here, broadening your horizons by not just sticking to the surface level interactions of, going to the hotels and, you can do all that. No one's trying to take away your fun. Like,
no.
I'm all about fun.
All for
too.
fun.
But have the fun and then go a little deeper. So, have that contact with these groups and see what else that they can offer. You might be, a principal at a school in the U.S. where you're looking to, where can I send my students to get a cultural connection? Like these kids, maybe they've never left the U.S. They, have all of these stereotypical ideas about Ghana. You organize, a trip, maybe you do like a fundraiser for them, send them here. They go do a workshop, with a local, maybe let's say like a carpenter or some other kind of like maybe local artisan, maybe like, music and drums or something like that. They've not only gotten the cultural aspect, they've actually come in contact and exchange with the local groups here, with, a local business owner or artisan. They're going back with stories, they're going back with connections, and that can just only expand and help us on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, when I think of transformational tourism and how it can play a role in African development, I mean, what are the two things that Africa really needs? Capital, and the two forms of capital, human capital, and also financial capital. And yes, individually, yourself, myself, my mother, we don't have that much capacity to make an impact. But when you think about the diaspora as a collective, and we organize as a collective economic unit, then when you think about the collective skill sets we have, because a lot of what Africa needs is just capacity building. I mean, we're boots on the ground with running our businesses, hiring people, experiencing the business culture and all those kind of things. And we really see the gaps in knowledge and technical understanding and things that we think are very basic. You know, it's like some of the people whom I'm clients of, it's like I coach them on how to be my client. Like you would not think like that would be crazy in the West. But actually here you have to accept that the level of business understanding is not, you can't compare it. Like what you think is average is actually like top tier here. So capacity building is such a big area, and that comes with human capital, and it comes with us, like you were saying, I might come on a trip with you guys, and you might take me to a community where they have certain issues to do, whatever, and I might actually have the knowledge and the technical understanding to make some kind of contribution, because it's like they just don't know certain information, or they're not exposed to certain things. It's little things like that we underestimate the level of how valuable we can be to Africa. Like we take for granted our skills and our knowledge because we are comparing ourselves within a Western context, but we don't compare ourselves in a global context. You know, I always like to tell people this statistic, that to be in the global 1%, you only need to be earning $30,000 a year.
That's eye-opening.
Yeah.
The global 1%.
Yeah.
But if you focus on, I live in the UK, I live in the US, and you think, oh, I'm working class, middle class, and you're comparing it, you're actually comparing yourself within the 1% of the 1%. You see, like when we compare ourselves, like we're in the 1%, and we're comparing ourselves within the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
But 30,000 is all you need to be classified as the global 1%. So imagine the kind of impact by default we can and should be having, both leveraging our technical know-how and also our capital. And again, I really think people should realize that transformational tourism is not a charity thing, because actually there's opportunity for diasporans too.
Yeah.
I mean, we go around the conference circuit a lot, going to different business and investment conferences. And one thing I noticed, because the need for, even for myself, there's no prepackaged like, oh, because some of us, yes, partying and all that's cool, but a lot of us are very much, we already understand that Africa is a growth region and we're seriously looking at investing and doing business here. But no one's providing tourism that is like, okay, you can take me around. Like, I'm interested in agriculture, but my understanding of agriculture just come from my screen. Maybe I watched a YouTube video, but imagine I can come and you create a package for me, where it's like I'm going to see different agriculture-based projects that I can get into, I can invest in, and that's the basis of like part of my tourist experience, because I'm coming here not to just have fun, but actually I want to see the investment opportunities I can do. Real estate, the same, because what we noticed, and for ourselves, is we're having to seek out these information. We're having to find, okay, where do I learn about agriculture? If I want to invest in agriculture, like all of that is very opaque, but actually it's one of the ways that should be encouraged and should be facilitated, because investment is something that you can directly correlate to as impact. And that's where I see transformational tourism also being able to leverage on actually our human capital and financial capital that we can bring.
Yeah. So for me, the simple thing that I'll say when it comes to transformational tourism and African development is this. Transformational tourism has to be, or is about people. It's about the people coming and the people here. It is about the relationship, deepening that relationship, deepening the understanding across board, of locals, of you coming and you of the locals. And that is the best way that we can develop Africa. Why do I say that? I say that because even if you look at businesses across the world that do very well, they are businesses that really understand relationships, be it their supply chain, be it their customers, and that interaction. So if diaspora want to impact Africa, is actually to look at that relationship. For example, you might just come and say, you know what, I want to visit a local something. And maybe Creative Indigo put a package together, and maybe you go and visit maybe a shea butter place where the village people, the village women are actually doing their shea butter in their own way, traditional way. It means nothing to you because you have nothing to do with shea butter. But it's not about that. It's about the experience that you have and the understanding from that you will take. So you interact with the women, they get to understand a little bit about you, you get to understand about them and what they're doing and all of that process. You create a very good, relationship. You go back, you keep in touch, and on it goes. You never know, one day, because of that relationship, and now you've built a deeper understanding of the people. And you're talking to somebody and you are just narrating some of the things they do, and you'll be shocked. Somebody says, oh, actually, that thing that they do, I think if they did, or I have something that can really help, maybe we could go visit them.
Exactly.
Do you see what I mean? Life is sometimes, it's not just about what you see now or understand now, or building relationship is open mind. So that, and it is deep understanding that actually creates development. Because if somebody who hasn't gone there doesn't understand why they do certain things, will bring a solution that doesn't work, it will defeat. And sometimes these are some of the things where they bring solutions, and maybe they bring a solution that is too hot and it degrades the quality of what they are producing. Mm-hmm. That's just an example. I don't know the details of making shea butter, but these are sometimes you can have a solution. Yes, it works, and maybe it beats the time by whatever, but it actually destroys what you're trying to build. Mm-hmm. So what's the point? So the point is relationship building, like we're saying. For me, the most important thing between us is our relationship. African Americans, continental diasporans, local Africans, all of us together, it is our relationship which is important. Let us understand one another. Mm-hmm. For me, that's very important. It will take away a lot of our problems, but we'll be able to build Africa better. So finally, to finish off, I'd like especially Nadwa, to tell us about some of the experience, transformational experiences and tours that maybe Creative Indigo is looking to offer African diasporans who are interested. When I say African, no. Diasporans. Let me not get there. Diasporans who are interested in visiting Africa.
Okay, well, at Creative Indigo, we offer, like I said, transformational tours for, we also do for the diaspora. We also do bespoke tours. So if you want us to create a tour for you or like a group of people, for example, we have done this with an association, so a Black American Association of Women. They do service, like a lot of volunteer service things in the U.S. And they'd like to come on a tour here in Ghana. So we've set up the tour for them, and they will also be doing services here. So we're going to put them in touch with a local school a school that caters towards autistic children, and they will be visiting the school, be having a workshop with the students there, and they'll be able to see what goes on there and also learn, from the teachers there. We also expand to other countries, so we're not just in Ghana. We provide these tours and these services right now we're focusing on 3 countries. So one is Ghana. We also do Cote d'Ivoire and then Liberia as well. So we have another group that's coming, a family that's coming, and they want to do all 3 countries.
Okay.
So we've put together a package for them where they can visit the countries, see, the highlights of the place. And also we are in touch with other groups like there's a school for the blind. There is a medical clinic. So there's a doctor who provides volunteer services. He goes around to the villages and provides like screenings, health screenings and things like that for people. So for groups or individuals, we can provide a package for you to come and experience these West African countries that we're starting with, and also do services in these countries. So eventually we're going to also expand to businesses, so small businesses, where, maybe someone can come in if they want to do a workshop or an internship, and interact with companies like that.
Yeah. So, at TG Africa, we do master classes as well. And we are more into business and investment. We have a few sort of innovation and incubation hubs that we are working with. So again, if people are looking to go beyond just, the partying, that is something too that we can put together for them to experience when they come. So it's all about people getting to understand each other, one another, and how we can all move ourselves forward, I would say. Creating the wealth, developing Africa. Anything else?
Just once again, I like that you mentioned about the relationship aspect because, like you said, it's the relationship between us that are here, the 1% diaspora, the historical diaspora that's coming, and the locals as well. We all need to think about how we can work together, how we can all help each other, and not just the me of it aspect. Once we start going beyond that and seeing what we can do for each other, it's just a beginning for us.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. We have had Nadwa Dafoe and Ajowe Chanayeri today. So, and thank you to our cherished viewers and listeners for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to grab yourself a copy of our book, The Great Return, which is on Amazon in all forms. And if you're doing or thinking of doing business or investing in Ghana or the rest of Africa, then get in touch by visiting our website, tgrafrica.com, to book a consultation so we can discuss all forms of collaborations, partnerships, business and investment advice and guidance, and also you can see all the other great stuff we're doing and how you can get involved. See you in the next episode.